Welcome to Spokane Talks, where you find news, views, and conversation that include respect for opinions, facts, and diversity. Spokane Talks is brought to you in part by McNeice Attorneys, Ponderosa Republican Women, and Rodda Paint.
Welcome to this episode of Spokane Talks. I'm Ryan McNeice. Tonight, Stephanie Regalado on SheSays will sit down and have an important conversation about depression and suicide captured in photography and self-portraits, followed by Library Out Loud discussing the Spokane Symphony. Then, Ozzy Knezovich handles the Poison Center.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rodda Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rodda Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.
Hello, welcome to SheSays. I'm your host, Stephanie Regalado, with my guest, Grace June of Grace June Imagery. Hello, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
You just recently, just a couple of days ago, had a show.
Yes.
And it's called
Survive Project. Yeah.
Your Survive Project. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the Survive Project, there's 23 photos depicting suicide survivors in Spokane. So they are people who either lost someone to suicide, primarily a family member, and then there are also people who have attempted suicide and lived and struggled with being suicidal. Mm-hmm. And then we did a book. Yes.
Where can people find the book?
Oh, they can find it on my website. I just did a blog entry. It would be gracejune.art/projects. I just did an entry. People can buy it online. Okay. It was also available at the show. So yeah, that's that. And with the series, there's text accompanying each photo that is chosen by the people in the book. So they could be letters, notes. One person included the last voicemail her cousin left her. So super heavy, super necessary. Yeah. So beautiful work, objectively, not just because I did the photos. It's fine. We all work together to make amazing art.
Well, and this project started because you started doing self-portraits.
Yes, I started
as an expression.
It was it became my number one mental health recovery tool, along with spirituality, counseling, my supplements, as I choose to call them.
Your vitamins.
My vitamins, yes, my pharmaceutical vitamins. So I use self-portraits to kind of find my way back to myself, as a person who feels well, as a person who feels safe. When I started doing them, I had extreme struggles with post-traumatic stress, and as I did the photos more and more and showed myself being very vulnerable and nude in some cases and just kind of brutal images, I could hold it out here and look at it, and it was not in here as much. It was just chipping away little pieces and letting them out. And I'm really hoping that that is something the people in the project will experience too.
And when we had a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about meeting people where they are.
Yeah.
And that sounds like that's a lot of what you saw. You were able to see in your own photos.
For sure.
And then what you provide others, because it really draws out that rawness, that internal, like you said,
the darkest, saddest moments of these people's lives, they courageously shared with me. Their ongoing grief, their ongoing feelings of shame and isolation, that we can hopefully use art to alleviate a little bit of, and foster a sense of community and togetherness.
We're going to talk more about this. We're going to take a quick break and hear a message from our sponsors and be right back.
The following is sponsored by our friends and community supporters at McNeice Attorneys. McNeice is a boutique law firm in Spokane, handling matters in both Washington and Idaho. Areas of law include business law, wills, trusts and estates, family law, personal injury and wrongful death, and real estate matters. For your full-service legal needs, contact McNeice Wheeler, attorneys.
Welcome to She Says again. Stephanie Regalado, Grace June.
Hello.
We were just chatting during the break about feeling suicidal is nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah. It isn't anything to be ashamed of, and not just from the perspective that more people than you know are probably feeling suicidal. Right. It's almost like we have survival instincts, and one of our survival instincts is to avoid pain. And so suicide is a way to avoid pain. It's a way to get out of pain. It's something your brain is, it's telling you awful things, but it's really a survival mechanism. If you look at it like that, it's just like something your brain is doing, something that has come from a place of pain or trauma often, or it's situational, or it's chemical. It's just, it's way, like I'd say, more serious than some physical conditions. But if you just think about it like, I've got a broken arm. What can we do to fix it? I'm feeling suicidal. What can we do to fix it? But you have to ask. And ask safe people and then call the 800 number. Call Spokane Behavioral Health. There's plenty of safe, if you don't feel comfortable telling anyone in your life because you feel ashamed, call one of those national hotlines.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What is your message, having experienced looking into that darkness?
Oh boy. Well, I've come to a place before where it was so dark when I knew I had options. I knew I had friends. I knew I had resources. I knew I have tons of stuff to live for. I love my life. I love my art. The feelings of suicide were so overwhelming that it was like none of that stuff were things I could go to. But to overcome that, I simply told someone. Just told someone what was going on, because I don't have the luxury of keeping it to myself anymore if I want to survive.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you said during this project, when you were photographing others through their experiences, you had a moment where you envisioned that you could have been photographing your mother. Yep.
I'm very, very close to my family, and especially my sisters. One gal wrote a letter to her big sister, and that killed me because I'm very close to my sisters. My youngest sister is my best friend. I'm like, man, this I could be photographing her. I could be photographing my mom.
As a survivor.
Yes, as a survivor. If I had gone that route, someone may, they could be in that situation. It was really a wake-up call.
People can find you on your website.
Yeah, gracejune.art, Grace June Imagery on Facebook, and I'm at Grace M. June on Instagram.
Thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for watching.
Next up on Library Out Loud, Jane Baker sits down and has an intriguing conversation about the Spokane Symphony.
Ponderosa Republican Women is a club with members that come from every part of Spokane County. Although they differ in age, occupation, ethnic background, and cultural heritage, these women and many men stand together to promote government based on conservative principles, discover lifelong friendships, meet elected officials and candidates, hear challenging speakers, receive campaign training, and learn about the electoral process. Our meetings take place on the second Thursday of every month. Follow Ponderosa Republican Women on Facebook for more information.
Hello and welcome to Library Out Loud. I'm Jane Baker with the Spokane County Library District, and joining me today is Jeff Von Saul from the Spokane Symphony. You're the executive director. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I have you here for several reasons and so many questions I want to ask you. But first of all, we're going to talk about the partnership between the library and the symphony. And what this partnership has done is allowed library card holders to check out tickets to attend a symphony performance for free, so they can check it out on a Sunday. And the next one coming up is on October 21st, and it is Sibelius and Brahms. Can you tell us quickly about that?
Sure. Yes. So we're trying this program out with a library system this fall. We're very excited about it, and it is in essence a way to ensure maximum accessibility for anybody in the Spokane region to experience the wonders of the symphony and the Fox. So we had three concerts this fall. The final one is Sunday, November 4th. It's Sibelius and Brahms. So for anybody who who was a band kid in high school, you probably played Finlandia. It's one of the most famous nationalistic pieces from Finland. And at the end of the program is Sibelius' Third Symphony, and in the middle is a piece by Brahms, originally composed for a string quartet, but has been rearranged for 2 pianos. The pianists are a husband and wife team, the Silver Garborg Duo. So it should be a great concert for anybody, whether you're an orchestra veteran or your first time around. It should be just a wonderful experience.
Oh, it's very exciting. And that concert is coming up November 4th, and that's a Sunday. So parking is free, and all you need to do is go to scld.org/reserve symphony. Reserve your symphony tickets, pick them up the Thursday before at the library nearest you, and then attend the concert. And it's wonderful. We've had great results. People are excited. They love the program. So we're hoping that this is something that can continue between the symphony and the library district. So that's coming up on November 4th. So reserve your tickets for that. And we're going to talk a little bit more about you and some of the things happening at the Spokane Symphony. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back on Library Out Loud.
The following is sponsored by our friends and community supporters at McNeice Wheeler Attorneys. McNeice Wheeler is a boutique law firm in Spokane, handling matters in both Washington and Idaho. Areas of law include business law, wills, trusts and estates, family law, personal injury and wrongful death, and real estate matters. For your full-service legal needs, contact McNeice Wheeler Attorneys.
And welcome back to Library Out Loud. I'm Jane Baker with the Spokane County Library District, talking with Jeff Von Saul with the Spokane Symphony. And Spokane's a little unusual. The symphony's a little unusual because you own the Fox Theater, and symphonies don't usually own their venues.
That's right. So, I'll go back and answer the first part of your question. Spokane is unusual because it is so filled with unexpected little gems here and there, and I would like to include the Fox as one of those gems. It's really a beautiful venue, lovingly restored just over 10 years ago. We just had our 10-year celebration last fall.
Wow.
It was an amazing coming together of community resources and a lot of hard work. But I think we can all be very proud of it. And so we now take pride in the fact that we can offer this real range of activities. And so the Symphony, as the owner and operator of the Fox, we had about 150 overall activities last year. And we've been working very hard to increase those and along with that, not just the number, but the range and the styles and the differences and what we can see. So we have 10 pairs of classics. We have 6 pops. We have, of course, our Nutcracker and overall holiday set of offerings in December. We have a new show that debuted last year called the M Show, which is M means a bunch of stuff. It means our concertmaster's first name is Mateusz, and he is the host of that show and sort of curator and architect of what that show is all about. It's very exciting. It offers an up-close personal view to get a little bit inside the lives of our musicians, get to know them a little better. We have little video vignettes that are done prior to the show that then resolve somehow during the concert itself. So that's a really interesting new look at what orchestras can do, and as we all know, things continue to change and evolve, and orchestras are very much a part of that as well. So it's an exciting season. This is also a season of our music director search, and so we have 5 wonderful candidates coming in this season, one of whom people may know, Morihiko Nakahara, as our resident conductor, is one of our finalists, and then 4 other wonderfully talented people from around the world. So throughout the season, we will have these interjections of outside talent, and are working to make sure that we have an ability to have the community give us feedback, hear their thoughts, And next season, we'll be announcing a new music director.
Very exciting stuff happening. So I suggest to anyone go to the Symphony's website, check out what's coming up, including Harry Potter. Great for the kids, and there's so much happening. So check out the website, attend a concert, come to the library's website, get your tickets for free, and see what's happening here in Spokane. It's really fabulous stuff. For Library Out Loud, I'm Jane Baker. We'll see you next time.
Next up on Sheriff's Report, Sheriff Ozzie Knezovich will sit down and discuss the Poison Center.
Ponderosa Republican Women is a club with members that come from every part of Spokane County. Although they differ in age, occupation, ethnic background, and cultural heritage, these women and many men stand together to promote government based on conservative principles, discover lifelong friendships, meet elected officials and candidates, hear challenging speakers, receive campaign training, and learn about the electoral process. Our meetings take place on the second Thursday of every month. Follow Ponderosa Republican Women on Facebook for more information.
Well, folks, this is Sheriff Ozzie Knezovich with the Sheriff's Report. This week's program is going to be on the Washington Poison Center. And with me today, I have the Executive Director, Dr. Liebelt, sorry about that. And we're going to talk about the role that you play in our society of the poison exposure, what to do, how your customers are, and those customers are us, but not just us, but also hospitals. So one of the topics we're going to also talk about is the exposure of THC that you're seeing at the Washington level. Can you give us an idea of what you're seeing as far as the marijuana exposure and why it has become an issue for the Poison Center?
Well, thank you so much. Yes, since marijuana was legalized several years ago, the number of calls to the Washington Poison Center have increased significantly. We received over 300 calls in 2017. Of concern, as I'm a pediatrician, is the number of calls we received regarding unintentional exposures in young children, less than 5 years of age, less than a year of age, 1 to 2 years of age, and some of the clinical effects that we're seeing in those young children that are much more significant than some of the more characteristic effects we see in older adults using marijuana.
What are those characteristics that you're seeing with exposure to younger children?
Younger children usually present with significant lethargy, even coma. They're very difficult to respond. They can have seizure-like activity. And so many times they require extensive evaluation to work up for other conditions like meningitis that could look just like this.
We're going to be also talking about not just accidental exposures, but we're also going to talk about intentional overdose and what you're seeing in that realm. So, Dr. Liebelt, when we come back, I'd like to talk a little bit about what you're seeing, especially in the Spokane area, because we do have a little bit of an issue in that arena. We'll be right back, folks. We're back, and with me today, I have the Executive Director of the Washington Poison Center, Dr. Liebelt, and we're going to talk a little bit about not just exposure to poisons accidentally, but we're also going to talk about intentional. A lot of people don't understand that you deal with that type of exposure. And it is a major problem here in certain areas of Spokane. Could you kind of give us an idea of what you are seeing, what the trends are that you're seeing here locally?
Sure, and this is a concern of ours too in terms of the types of calls that we're seeing. In Spokane County, in an 18-month period from January 2017 through the end of June of this year, we have received over 200 calls regarding adolescents 13 to 19 years of age who have had intentional overdoses. This is significantly higher than the previous 10 years. This also mirrors what we're seeing in the entire state, but is of potential even more significant in Spokane County. In addition, we are seeing increasing numbers in 6 to 12-year-olds.
Now, folks, I want you to listen to that age range, 6 to 12. This is a major problem.
It is. Again, when we receive the calls from the healthcare facilities or from the pre-hospital providers about, well, why was there this pill exposure? There was, again, reported to be intent to harm themselves.
And, one of our neighborhoods here locally has one of the highest suicide rates in the state. The trend line that you've seen, when you described that earlier, and we have about 20 seconds left, just kind of describe that trend line is not like this. It's more steep.
Yes, it is steep. Again, when we compare to previous years, the number of adolescents we see taking intentional overdoses of multiple medications, not only over the counter, but prescription medications too, and multiple prescription medications, it's very, very alarming to me.
Folks, that's what you're going to be seeing on this show. I hope you'll tune into it. It's a really interesting dynamic. And quite frankly, we could have done an hour on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cindy Hval is a freelance columnist and correspondent for the Spokesman Review and author of War Bonds, Love Stories from the Greatest Generation. The view from her porch is usually sunny.
I wonder where I'd be right now if Velcro had been invented when I was 6. One rainy night, the frustration of being the youngest of 4 finally caught up with me. My parents had gone out, leaving my teenage brother in charge, and he refused to let me stay up past my bedtime to watch Gunsmoke. It was one injustice too many. I packed my red and black plaid suitcase with all the comic books and books it could hold, put on my raincoat and slid on my tennis shoes and slammed the back door behind me. At the end of our driveway, I tripped over my untied shoelaces. Marching back inside where my despot of a brother reclined watching television, I demanded he tie my shoes. "You're supposed to be in bed. Why are you all wet?" "I'm running away," I said, and pointed to my damp suitcase. "You can't run away until you can tie your shoes by yourself," my brother explained. Helpless and enraged by his faultless logic, I stormed off to my room. History repeats itself. Our youngest son ran away when he was 6. He told his oldest brother he was going, loaded his Batman backpack, slapped on his Velcro sandals, and hit the road. The house seemed too quiet. "Where's Sam?" I asked. "Oh, he ran away," Ethan replied. Alex, our 15-year-old, volunteered to go find him. And within minutes he returned with the teary-eyed prodigal clutching his hand. After some cookies and cuddling, Sam agreed to stay with us a while longer. When we're young, running away seems a viable solution for most problems. Unfortunately, some of us never get over the tendency to bolt when we're feeling misunderstood or when life gets uncomfortable. Ironically, we are often the very thing we're running from. Changing locations doesn't change more serious problems. More importantly, running diminishes the chance for reconciliation. Relationships are hard. We're frail human beings given to selfishness, but families are where we learn to live within our limitations and to tolerate those of others. Velcro made it easy for Sam to run away, but it also meant he didn't trip over his shoelaces in his haste to come home. And that's the view from my front porch.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Spokane Talks. We'll see you next week for more news, views, and conversation.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rodda Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rodda Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.
Spokane Talks is about you. Give us your feedback and comments at info@SpokaneTalksMedia.com. Spokane Talks is brought to you in part by McNeice Wheeler Attorneys, Ponderosa Republican Women, and Rodda Paint. We'll be back next week with additional news, views, and conversations. Please join us. So long for now.